Hey guys, Evil here. I know it's been a while since I've put out an update video, especially on the Wraith, which this video is. But I've just been waiting on parts, simple as that. If you don't have parts, you can't do the upgrade. And with the holiday season, it's just slowed down shipping and everything. But I still don't have the links I want for my Wraith, but I did finally get the gears in, the 32-pitch gears in. So I'm going to go ahead and put together volume 2 of this video, which is just going to cover putting in that brushless system, the 32-pitch gears, and the MIP drive shafts. And then I'll do the linkage later on as part of volume 3 for upgrading the Wraith. So I'll show you what we got. Here's the Wraith. There's my honcho with the new body. Bit of a sneak peek. That'll be part of the upgrade video that I'll be doing on that. They'll have some details on the painting and things that went in on that. But anyway, here's the Wraith, and I'll show you all the goodies I got. We'll get those on the bench and show you what we're going to put in. So this was just a kit that was specially put together. I mean, you can buy the parts separate, but I ordered them from an online vendor as a Wraith upgrade, brushless upgrade. It just consists of 32-pitch gears. You got a 14-tooth Robinson Racing pinion and a 54-tooth Kimbrough spur gear. That should get it right about the rollout. Should be in the sweet spot for the 13.5 brushless I'm going to put in it. Oops. The Tekin RS, and that's a censored setup. And then here are the drive shafts. We'll be popping those in. So I'm going to get started on that. See, once you take all those screws out, the transmission will drop right out, giving you access to the motor. Pretty cool design. So I've got the Wraith torn down, getting ready to do electronic swap, but I forgot that this ESC was originally installed in a crawler, so it has instant reverse, as well as some other things like LiPo cutoff I'm going to change. On the Wraith, since it's going to be kind of a high-speed deal, I want brakes with a reverse delay, so I'm going to go ahead and hook that up to a Tekin hot wire, and I'll show you how that works. So we got the Tekin RS hooked up to the hot wire. I'm going to go ahead and show you the setup. I'm going to run on this voltage cutoff. I'm going to be running 2S, just because I don't plan on putting a BEC on this. I'm going to run the stock servo, so and 2S is going to be fine, especially with this motor. Motor type is brushless with delay, so I can brake in the air while it's jumping. It's set to censored only mode. I'm going to move to brake, set and drag brake around 70%. We'll see how good that is. If it's not strong enough, we can always bump that up later. Brake strength 100%. Push control I'm leaving default. Brake minimum 10, which is default. Throttle profile is set to 3, which is linear. Neutral width I'm leaving default. Current limit off because I want to be able to dump full juice to the motor. Reverse speed 100%. Minimum throttle I'm leaving default. Timing I set back to default. We will I'll temp this thing while it's running, and if we have some more room to bump up timing based on motor temp, we can do that later, but I'm going to try and keep that in a safe range for now. One other thing that's important on the Wraith is it's actually set up for the motor to run in reverse direction. That's why guys are cooking some of these brush motors on these, because they're just not set up to do that. But with brushless, you don't have that problem. You can reverse, forward or reverse, whichever. but that's pretty important for setting up the Wraith. So that's pretty much my deal. I'm going to go ahead and set those settings and send them down to the ESC, and that should be it. Let's go ahead and get it put in the Wraith. And transmission out. Not too bad at all. There we have, we're just down to the slipper now. The spur gear just sits real nice on that little race. We'll go ahead and get the 32 pitch installed. When adjusting slippers, I always tend to just start with getting the end of the nut even with the end of that shaft. That thing will not focus. And then if you find that it's slipping too much, you can go ahead and adjust it from there, but you usually don't want to compress that spring all the way. Usually just going flush with the end of the nut is usually a good starting point. And there we go, new spur gear installed. We'll get the motor and pinion on there, and we'll go over setting the gear lash. So anyway, the whole point of doing this 32 bit pitch conversion, if I can get this to focus, if we can get everything out of the picture, there we go. You can see that the 32 pitch, that the teeth are much larger. They're going to stand up to high horsepower application a lot better than the 48 pitch. 48 pitch tends to work well for like off-road buggies and things like that, but when you're dealing with something that's going to be a little bit heavier, like this big four-wheel drive, the 32 pitch is going to stand up. The 32 pitch is going to stand up a lot better to the horsepower. So that's the main reason for doing this. And the other reason is to get the rollout right for the 13.5 modified brushless. So the first thing you want to do is line up the two gears so that they're perfectly lined up. You want as much tooth touching tooth, so that gives you strength. And you want to kind of gorilla that grub screw down on that pinion. And then from here, you're going to set the gear lash. And where it's at is real close. Some people put a piece of paper. You can take like a strip of paper and run it between the gears, and that usually sets your gear lash pretty perfect. What I do is get it as tight as possible, but to where I have just a little bit of play. And you want to check the pinion or the spur for gear lash all the way around, because these spur gears are plastic or nylon and they tend not to be perfect. So check it in several spots. You also want to check it after you tighten the motor down, because it inevitably moves. So you tighten the motor down, and now I have way too much. The bad thing is, if you don't get the gear lash right and you get things too tight, it causes a bind, which puts undue stress on the motor, and usually will end up cooking the thing. So it's pretty important to get this right before you hook it up and run it. That's probably pretty good right there. A little bit tight right there. Good tightening, and then check your lash again. So you want just enough play to where it'll spin pretty well. You don't want it too loose because you'll strip gears. Too tight, you'll burn up motors. So you want to get it to where it'll move pretty freely. That should be pretty good. Go ahead and yank the receiver out, since I'm going to be hooking this up to my Airtronics. And the Axial speed control is going to get transplanted into another project I have going on. You can see here I've finally got the ESC mocked up and got the motor soldered in, so now it's time to go ahead and mount it back in the chassis. And there we go. Motor and transmission installed. Just need to mount down the ESC and get it ready to go. I just wanted to point something out to you guys. When going from stock to the MIP drive shaft, the stock drive shaft, the worm screw actually goes all the way through the yoke on the drive shaft, and the actual input has a rod that goes all the way through. That's completely different than most drive shaft setups. They usually have the outdrive has a flat spot for that worm screw to set on, so it's going to be a little bit interesting with the MIP. I'm going to try and drive that worm screw. It won't go through that hole, but maybe it will seat in that hole to keep things from rotating. But just something to look out for you guys who are changing over to aftermarket drive shafts. Hey guys, just wanted to give you another quick little tip. If you take the gear cover off like I did for the drive shaft to clear, the tolerance is really tight for the motor wires to clear that spur gear. You do not want those touching. That spur gear will chew through those in an instant. So my solution has been to zip tie these to the bottom of the frame, and then I'm going to put a little notch in the skid plate to keep that zip tie in place, and that will keep those wires tucked away. Get this where you can see it. Keep those wires tucked out of the way of that spur gear, because that thing will chew them up in a hurry and ruin your day. So just something to watch out for. Alright, here it is, all buttoned up. Got the Tiken ESC mounted up, got the new drive shafts in. Those things are just completely bomb proof. I should be able to just beat on those things as much as I want. 32 pitch gearing should add durability as well. That with a slipper clutch, you just can't go wrong for bashing. There's the Tiken, you can just kind of see it kind of hiding up there. Couple improvements for doing this. One is the BEC in the Tiken is just, it's 6 volts. I guess the Axial one is not, because the servo just seems to have a newfound vigor for life. And all set up, so now I just need some good weather to take it out for a test drive and show you guys how it runs. We'll catch you next time.